Call the April 27th meeting of the NCIP to order. I think you all need to read the teleconferencing and all that stuff.
Yes, I have it. Welcome to the April 27, 2023 meeting of the Monterey Neighborhood and Community Improvement Program. In-person rules. The city of Monterey is committed to the safe attendance of its public meetings. Masks are encouraged for all who attend in person, regardless of vaccination status. We ask that attendees in the council chamber keep their phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference and feedback with the hybrid meeting. The city of Monterey seeks to continue to offer virtual methods of public participation in meetings. If you aren't joining us in person here in the council chamber, there are two ways to virtually participate in this meeting. You may join the meeting directly on Zoom Gov using the Zoom app on your computer or mobile device, and you can also call into the Zoom meeting. To join the meeting on Zoom on your computer, smartphone, or telephone, use the link or phone number on the agenda at isearchmonterey.org. To call into the Zoom meeting, dial toll-free 833-568-8864, then enter the meeting ID 161-843-6636 pound. And if prompted to enter a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions on using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To make a public comment using the Zoom app, you can virtually raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. If you dialed in by phone, raise your hand by dialing *9 and then unmute yourself when called upon by dialing *6. You must do both. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Public speakers will be called in the order their hands are raised. Please stay within the time limit established for today's meeting, which will show using a countdown timer on the screen. If you're connected live on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. Today's meeting is also streamed live on the city's YouTube account, which is accessible at youtube.com/City of Monterey, with an approximate 10-second delay, and on Comcast channel 25 with up to 90-second delay. As always, we look forward to receiving your public comments.
Thank you, Reggie. If we could have roll call, please.
Aguajito Oak, Alta Mesa,
Aye, or here.
Casanova Oak Knoll,
Here.
Deer Flats,
Here.
Del Monte Beach,
Here.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande,
Here.
Downtown,
Virtually here.
Fisherman's Flat,
Here.
Glenwood,
Here.
Monterey Vista,
Here.
New Monterey,
Here.
Oak Grove,
Here.
Old Town,
Here.
Skyline, and Villa Del Monte.
Here.
Thank you.
I'm assuming we have a quorum. In which case, let's move on to the first agenda item, which is public comments. This is time set aside for anyone to address the NCIP on any items that are not on tonight's agenda and are which within the preview of the NCIP. So you'll have 3 minutes. So anyone in the audience who wishes to provide public comments, please come forward. Likewise, if you're online, please raise your hand. Online, we have Deanne Brady. Go ahead. We could unmute Deanne.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. Good evening. I am Deanne Brady, co-chair of Cannery Road Business Association, and I'm speaking tonight to advocate for the funding of the city-owned Aeneas Bridge, which is the last original remaining cannery bridge. This bridge has been in the state of disrepair for quite some time and has now gotten to the point of not only being an eyesore, but it's a safety issue as well as the structure itself is starting to fall apart. We are asking for consideration of this project to make the bridge structurally sound but not operable for foot traffic, and to give the outside an overdue facelift honoring its place in history. Thank you for your time and your consideration to this project.
Thank you, Deanne. And just for anyone who's wondering, that item is not on tonight's agenda. It's on the agenda 2 weeks from now. So yes, it fits under public comment.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak under public comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is
We
staff.
do have one
informational.
person online. We have one more person online,
Okay, I didn't see any hands up, but okay, go ahead.
ending in 500.
Yeah, there it is. The phone ending in 500. You can go ahead. I think you're on.
Yes, can you
We-
hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, this is Wendy Brickman. I'm a little fuzzy, but I was going to speak on 3 items, and now I'm not sure which is on the agenda and which is not. Maybe you can illuminate me. One is on the Mark Thomas bike trail, one is on the fairgrounds lighting, and one is on Ramona, the improvement on the street due to flooding. Can you tell me which ones go to public comment and which ones don't?
If they're in neighborhoods from Alta Mesa to Monterey Vista, so if the letter in front of them is from A to MV, they're on the agenda tonight. Otherwise, they will be in 2 weeks, and yes, you could speak to them tonight, but I believe the ones you mentioned are all on the agenda tonight.
No,
Okay, then I'll wait.
The-
Thank you.
Okay,
The
thank you.
bike,
No?
the bike lane is project 87.
So that's a multi-neighborhood? So yes, you could speak to the bike. lane.
Yes.
Okay, may I speak to the bike lane? Okay,
Okay.
I'm very much in favor of the bike lane. I work with the North Fremont Business District, and we desperately need the center median bike lane connected to the downtown. And this idea of going down Mark Thomas Road is brilliant, and I would like to see that happen sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I really don't see any other hands up, so let's move on to staff informational reports.
Okay. I just have a few quick updates on the status of some of the NCIP projects we've been working on. We'll start with Laguna Grande parking lot lighting. And we've issued the notice to proceed to the city's consultant to begin the lighting study. At the American Legion to Harrison Street Walkway, I met with representatives from Old Town back on April 17th to discuss their concerns with the stairway. We're working on solutions. And then project 2316, which is the Church Street raised crosswalk. We've completed the final design, and the city staff met with the principal at San Carlos School on April 21st to discuss the project schedule with construction plan to start the second week of June. And city restroom study, the draft request for proposal has been completed, and that's under city staff review. So those are the updates on those projects. And then I also have a note from Tom Hardy that we are working on those project conflict maps.
Okay. We're going to be needing them soon, so hopefully. Okay, no other report?
That's it.
Okay, next agenda item is NCIP spokesperson report. I really don't have anything to report other than thank Jean for running the meeting last week in my absence. So let's move on to the meat of tonight's agenda, which is the second review of projects in neighborhoods from Aguajito Oaks to Monterey Vista. In the NCIP process, we have two meetings where it's basically the committee asking questions and reviewing and looking at them. And then we have two meetings where it's public hearing, time to advocate for, against, ask questions about, or anything else for the general public to do. Tonight is for neighborhoods, Aguajito Oaks through Monterey Vista. What we'll do is we'll go neighborhood by neighborhood alphabetically. Well, first, I think Reggie's going to give a quick review of what the projects are, I believe. Then we will open it to the public for public comments. We're not going to start out with a 3-minute limit unless we start having issues with it running long, but please try to keep it in that time frame. But if you may have a lot of projects and it may be to talk about, and it may be difficult. So I don't want to necessarily start out being hard and fast on a 3-minute limit. So that said, let's begin with, I know there are no projects in Aguajito Oaks. And just also for the public to realize, 2 weeks from now will be our next NCIP meeting where we'll handle the balance of the neighborhoods as well as what we're now calling multi-neighborhood projects, those which are impact multiple neighborhoods. So those will be in 2 weeks from now. So there are no Aguajito Oaks projects. So let's move on to Alta Mesa.
Okay, and just one update from the last time we had this presentation. So staff was able to put together some pricing ranges for the various projects. So tonight you'll see $1, $2, $3, and $4 signs associated with projects. And those dollar signs correlate to what you're seeing here, the ranges 0 to 30,000, 30,000 to 100,000, 100,000 to 300,000, and greater than 300,000.
Okay, thank you, Reggie. I think we may opt to have a discussion at the end of the meeting about
The ranges.
the ranges and costing of projects, but for now, at least it'll give us a rough idea. And we're not at voting that yet where we're actually absolutely going to be needing that info.
Okay.
So move ahead with Alta Mesa. I believe there's
Right.
one nominated project.
One project in Alta Mesa, correct? It's Don Davy Creek Path construction, and I've added improvements in parentheses just for some clarification based on conversation at the April 13th meeting, and this is phase 2 of multi-phase, multi-segment project. Again, there's 4 segments plus trailhead improvements. And this is a $3 sign project, as you can see. And the staff note was just that this project will require biological support and archaeological support during construction.
Okay. At this point, we'll open it to the public. Anyone who wishes to speak regarding the project in Alta Mesa, please raise your hand. General look first, and then we'll open it to the commission in case there's any additional questions. I'm not seeing any hands raised online, and no one is coming to the podium. So, Richard, go ahead. We'll bring it back
Yes.
to the commission.
Could,
Go ahead, Richard.
could Reggie give me that dollar sign range again?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So in this case, $3 signs is 100,000 to 300,000. But $1 sign is 0 to 30,000. $2 signs is 30,000 to 100,000. $3 signs, 100,000 to 300,000. And $4 signs greater than 300,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Any other comments at the commission? I'll just comment that we broke it up intentionally in phases. It is an existing path that actually even has name signs at each of the entrances. Most people don't know it's there. The purpose of it is to improve access through it, primarily so the police can walk through and police that area of the city, which has become a major ongoing homeless camp area. So it will facilitate access through, plus improve what is a very beautiful trail. And it is our second priority. Our first priority is the brush clearing and fuel reduction. Okay. Move on to next neighborhood. Oh, sorry. I'm looking online now and not seeing up here in front of me. Go ahead, Jamie.
Walk through or drive through?
It's walk.
So they'll still have to, two guys when you're going down.
Yeah,
East
they
Canal.
will still have to, but right now,
People.
part of it is underwater and it's very muddy and it's hard to actually come down into it. So it will, yes, they will still have to get some exercise.
The road is closed off over there, Jamie. It's majorly barricaded
Yeah.
because of the flooding.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm sorry if Tom didn't tell me, but I don't know why this says phase one and up there it says phase two.
It says phase two because I updated it based on comments from last meeting and it didn't make it into the packet.
So I can cross off the one and change it to a two.
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I brought up that we had actually had some parts of it started. It also got confusing because we had some funded, then defunded by council. And so it's understandable.
Right. I have made some edits to the presentation that didn't make it into the packet. So, but they're relatively minor.
Okay. All right, let's move on to next neighborhood.
Casanova Oak Knoll, there's 3 nominated projects. The first one is Fairground Road lighting. Then there's Casanova Oak Knoll Park improvements and the North Fremont Ramona storm drain improvements.
Okay, we'll take it out to the public. In this case, it's online. Last 3 digits is 500. If we can make sure she's unmuted and go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yes, this is Wendy Brickman again, and I want to speak in favor of the Fairgrounds project, the lighting and hopefully security cameras. There's hundreds of thousands of people who come to events to the fairgrounds, and there's a lot more unhoused individuals, making it a little bit more prevalent for theft and vandalism. And the businesses and also the hotels that back onto Fairground Road, it's been pretty awful for them. So by adding lighting and security cameras on the existing fence line, this will help in keeping the North Fremont area of Monterey safe. And the other project is the storm drain solution for flooding at North Fremont at Ramona. And there's definitely, it floods even with a little bit of rain. And both projects are important for safety and security for our visitors and our locals. So I hope you guys will give serious consideration to both those projects.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other member of the public? Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Violini, the CEO of the Monterey County Fair, and I'm here to talk about 2 of the projects. Number 1, the fairgrounds lighting. I understand that the security cameras are something that can't or should not be involved in the project, and that is totally fine. I would love to pay for that from our funds. I would actually pay for the lighting if I could, but they're not my utility poles. So that is why, I was advised to turn in this project in 2019. It is, definitely for safety and security. I met with Lieutenant Andrews from Monterey PD today. He said, "How's the project going?" I said, "I don't know. I'm coming tonight." So, when there's not a festival, it's extremely dark. You've got kids walking from Santa Catalina. As a mom, that very much concerns me. There are a lot of unhoused individuals. It's gotten to be quite the sketchy corner right there at Garden and Fairgrounds Road. And it would be wonderful to have some improved lighting along Fairgrounds Road. And again, I think the security cameras can be done by our board of directors and our funds. On another note, as the president of the North Fremont Business District, I think the storm drain improvements are very much needed. Hopefully we won't have such a wet year in the future, but this year it was extremely awful to drive along North Fremont Street, and the flooding was, pretty spectacular. So it definitely needs some storm drain improvements there. Thank you.
Thank you. And just so you understand the security cameras, the issue is the city of Monterey does not have a policy about them. And so before we could fund it, it would have to go to the city council and have them develop a policy for security cameras. Yeah. Okay. Any other member of the public? Deborah. Online is Deborah, and then we'll have if we could go ahead and unmute.
I just had a question about the last speaker. I don't understand who's going to take it to the city council to make that recommendation. I think it's essential for safety. Everything that is safety involved should be prioritized way above what anything else is. And so what is the mechanism of getting it to the city council in order to get an approval for that?
Well, let me clarify what I heard from the other speakers. If those cameras were to go on Fairgrounds property, city has no role in it, so therefore they could do that tomorrow theoretically. As far as getting it in front of the city council, we would have to be honest, I'm not sure the exact way of doing that. And maybe I've got.
So then I guess that it won't happen unless we figure out a way to get it to the city council.
Well, as a committee, we would need to vote to recommend the city council review it. And we'd have to put that on a future agenda, but anyone could also send a letter to the city council and ask that they agendize it.
So if the cameras are put on the property of the fairgrounds has to pay for it. Is that correct?
Yes, the city, we would not be able to pay for anything to go on to the fairgrounds itself because we're limited to within the city property itself. But if they put up cameras on their own property, just like any homeowner puts up cameras on their private property, that's totally within their right to do. There's nothing else that needs to happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any other member of the public? Seeing none, we'll now open up the commission. Richard?
Yes, Richard Rosello, Casanova Oak, no. Project COK1 is a 2019 project. That's the Fairgrounds Lighting Project. And it is way too dark there. There's so many events, and we have a lot of local residents who walk there at night. The poles are so far apart, it's just pitch black. I agree about the cameras, and I hope we do agendize this in the future. It's not just Fairgrounds Road. It's Del Monte Beach. It's license plate readers. It's the only way to stop crime. And I agree with that. COK3 is the park equipment. And that is another 2019 project that was defunded. And we've been waiting for this for 4 years. So that's a high priority project for us. COK5 is the North Fremont flooding. We're talking not just North Fremont, it's also Ramona. I was trying to exit the neighborhood. That intersection was underwater. And when the cars on Fremont hit it at 35 miles an hour, they were hydroplaning and actually covering the cars with 8 to 10 feet of spray as they went by. It's a dangerous situation, but I've asked the question multiple times. It's a drainage project. Is it covered under Measure S? If it is, it won't be an NCIP project, but I haven't received an answer.
So the follow-up to that question is no. All of the Measure S funds are accounted for with other projects.
I'm not speaking of this year's accountability on the projects. I'm saying, is it qualified for Measure S funds in the future?
We'll have to get you an answer to the future question.
All right, I appreciate that.
What you accounted for. Okay, yes.
And Reggie, I've been trying to find in the documents I was sent where the dollar signs are. I did not hear your instructions to the committee on where is this document?
There is no separate document. I think that Tom was in a rush before he had to head out of town, so he put together these ranges. So it may not have made it into the packet, this week's packet, but it'll be in the next one for sure. So,
Can you tell me what these 3 projects are?
oh yeah, absolutely. I can. Yeah, COK 01 is $3 signs, which correlates to 100 to 300,000. CK 03 also $3 signs, and CK 05 $4 signs, which is greater than 300,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Any other member of the commission have any questions or want to raise anything? And Richard, do you have priorities for these?
I would go the bike lane is first, but that's project 87. And the second one will be the park, which is COK 3.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, don't see any hands raised here and or online. Let's move on to next neighborhood.
Okay, Deer Flats, there's 3 nominated projects. There's Deer Flat 01, Old Salinas Highway pedestrian signage and lighting. Deer Flats 02, which is Deer Forest Drive Elk Run utility box relocation. And the third project is Deer Flats Park. It's fencing and benches reconfiguration.
Okay, we'll take it out to the public. Any member of the public wish to address the commission on the Deer Flats projects? Yeah, I've got no hands raised online or anyone rushing to the podium. So let's bring it back to the commission. Any commission member have any comments, questions, or anything on these projects? And does Deer Flats have any priority order for these?
There's just one issue on priorities because the Deer Flats 01 did not originate from our neighborhood. You can see there that the proponent and all the signatories are from Monsalis, which is an adjacent neighborhood.
Okay.
So it's hard for us to prioritize that.
You don't have to. It's up to you.
But of the 2 that came from our neighborhood, the sight line issue at the intersection, the utility boxes is our first priority, and the park benches is number 2.
Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing no, Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, you went by the slide so fast. I never did see how many dollar signs were on number 2. Thank you.
Okay.
It's $2 signs as well.
Okay, let's move on to the next neighborhood.
Del Monte Beach. All right, 7 nominated projects. There is Del Monte Beach 01, Spray Avenue Tot Lot Shade Structure improvements or addition. There's number 2's Beachway Restroom Facilities of Portland Lou. Number 3 is the Spray Avenue Tot Lot resurfacing. Number 5, Tide Avenue Boardwalk replacement. Number 6, Surfway and Roberts Avenue fencing replacement. Number 7, Beachway Boardwalk extension. Number 9, Tide Avenue 2023 Boardwalk repair. Those are the projects for Del Monte Beach.
Okay, we'll take it out to the public. I've got a hand raised by Deborah.
Hello, I wanted to voice my support of number 6. I walk the neighborhood a lot and the Surfway Roberts Avenue fencing replacement, I don't necessarily think that the whole thing needs to be done, but certainly it's a safety issue. Some of the boards have fallen off. I've called Public Works to get them put back on. It's not even up to code. We could never put anything like that on our property that was on the street if it had that kind of measurements and that kind of space between the boards. And the boards have rotted and they are insect infested. It is a top priority. It is a definite safety issue. People stroll their babies on their strollers. Children use their little scooters on it. It's just an accident waiting to happen. And if the city, I'm not even sure it should be an NCIP thing. The city certainly has some liability if something happens. And thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any other member of the public who wishes to speak on any of the Del Monte Beach projects? Don't see any hands raised online or anyone coming to the podium, so let's bring it to the commission. Deborah, did you put your hand up again to speak for something else or just didn't take it down? Thank you. Okay. Jamie, why don't you go ahead, then it'll be Richard.
Super. So I think if we start with Del Monte Beach #1, that's got $2 signs on it. We're kind of hoping maybe we can get one of those cool sail structures like they have up there in Casanova Oak Knolls and get that down a little bit. Del Monte Beach #2 is really more of a focus on the studies first. Del Monte Beach #3, the resurfacing has been put off a long time and patched quite a bit. And one of the things is if we can get it resurfaced, then the rest of the surfaces there supports the new surface. The more degraded the old surface becomes, and potentially you have a greater, or at least this was the theory when we first put this.
Everybody using the top line.
You can save the old stuff by taking care of it, and it benefits the new stuff. If you wait too long, everything has to be redone. Del Monte Beach #5, the improvements there, that's again, that's a super safety thing. But as you see, it's got $3 signs. Del Monte Beach #6, there's a discussion of safety there as well. And frankly, the slope of the hill has changed since those railings were put in. And so, it wasn't as steep a hill just on the other side of that fence as it is now. And we estimate that the fence is 40 to 50 years old in the wood sections potentially. Del Monte Beach #7, the boardwalk extension is just about 20 feet. So I'm thinking the $3 signs is probably a little on the top side. We want to look at something where it was maybe laying on the ground and flexible. Del Monte Beach #9 is an ongoing pot of money, and generally we've been asking for 50,000. So that would get it down to just $2 sign, unless Parks has some other number that they know is an immediate need. It's probably in the $2 sign range. So just kind of set the stage on that and bring those in. And then I don't know, would it help to speak to the priorities?
Yeah, go ahead.
So where we're at, so we were waiting for the darn prices. And so it wasn't until last week when we realized we weren't getting them. So we put it out with dollar signs. And I will say that, the focus of the neighbors is all of these are really important. They've been back again, and a lot of them were funded as priorities in the past. The neighbors are looking at this and saying, can we get some of the smaller ones done, get them out? Some of the big ones we really want to, but their focus preliminarily, I don't have all the statistics back, is for the replacing portions, the $2 signs, another pot of money. #1, it's always #1 because we're constantly replacing that, which is about 30, 35 years old. So that is project number DMB 9. So that's our #1 for sure. And then our #2 project is DMB 03. So, and both of those are $2 signs, easy to do, get them done. And then I'm going to come back with some statistics and look a little bit more closely. The preliminary is The extension is a priority, but we were thinking it wouldn't be quite so much money. So as $3 signs. So
Okay.
so that's kind of our priorities.
Okay, thank you. Richard, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like some clarity on the beach restroom. That would be project number 2. It's on there for voting, but it's under the study. And there's many other restroom projects on the wall for voting this year. But they also are all part of the study, including the one down by the kayak business. What are we voting on? Are these going to be on the voting wall, or are they all under the study? I'm a little confused on this. We're not being very clear about it. Are we voting for these individual restrooms? Or are we going to wait for the study to come out?
They will be on the wall.
Yeah, I would put to you, I think that for this committee, every restroom you see on the list is a valid project. And so any one of them can be voted for. In our neighborhood, there was a lot of division around this. And so it's actually kind of one of the things that was the impetus for the importance of that study. So in our neighborhood, with the taking of sides and the diversity of opinions, strong opinions, that's why we're looking at the study as being a priority. But in other places, the committee can find that the restroom is a priority in advance of the study.
And
So
they are all projects that'll be on the wall, Richard. Now, if we end up voting for one and the study does not recommend one there, we'll have to deal with that. But most of the places where there are places where there's been a recognized need for some time. The window in the Bay Park restroom was funded 12 years ago due to massive outpouring of people needing it, and that need hasn't gone away. So it's up to whether we choose to vote, whether individuals choose to vote on them or not, and just vote on the study. That's up to each member of the committee.
I just see us possibly setting aside hundreds of thousands or over $1 million, and the projects may get rejected.
That is the chance that's there. Any other member of the commission? Okay, seeing none, let's move on next neighborhood.
All right, there's Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande, and there's 5 nominated projects. Project 1 is Virgin Avenue, Grant Avenue Memorial Plaque. Project 2 is Laguna Grande Park playground improvements with the outdoor musical instruments. Project 3 is Casanova Avenue 500 block sidewalk construction. And this project was funded last meeting as part of what was it, the contingency projects.
So that needs to be taken off the list.
Needs to be taken off. Right. Project number 4 is Casanova Avenue 500 block streetlight installation. Project 5, Virgin Avenue decomposed granite path widening. And those are the 5 projects for Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande.
Okay, we'll take it out to the public. I've got a hand raised by Renee Urban. And then after Renee will be Ann Pagan and then Esther Malkin. Go ahead, Renee.
Okay, hi. Am I being heard?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm a 30-year resident here on Virgin Avenue. I like the roundabout. I think it's helped mitigate speed a little bit, but it's basically unfinished. It's just a hole in the road with a rock and some weeds. So it needs some reflective signage of some sort. But it's kind of a safety issue there. It's just a hole in the road with a rock. And then secondly is the path between Grant and Montecito, which used to be a path, a wonderful path that I've walked many times throughout my life. And now it's in disrepair. You can't walk, you have to go onto the roadway because the bushes have overgrown. So it's an unsafe, and the path is just almost gone. Thank you very much. That's my input.
Thank you. We'll go to Ann Pagan. And if I mispronounce names, I'm truly sorry.
That's quite right. It's Ann Pagan from Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande. I'm speaking in support of the project for the inclusive outdoor musical instrument at Laguna Grande Park. And I believe that the idea of outdoor musical equipment is not new to playground equipment world. In fact, the Parks and Rec Master Plan of 2016 encouraged the addition of more interesting non-standard play elements and interactive art, specifically at Archer Park, Deer Flats, and Fish Flats, although not specifically at Laguna Grande. I didn't specify specific instruments, but they could be drums, chimes, xylophone, or keyboard. And as I mentioned, making music together can build harmony, cooperation, and build a sense of accomplishment and self-esteem. Music can keep you calm and relaxed. I know for myself it does, and can contribute ultimately to a safer community where children feel included and safer and particularly in this neighborhood, in this area, can provide exposure to musical instruments that they may not otherwise have. The space that I suggested is actually been used by a bench was installed there recently. But it does appear that there might be other space within the playground. And I was also looking today and, where it could potentially save some money. It looks like you could add a musical instrument to the existing play structure that has multiple slides, like in between the two support poles. It looks like there could be some space there where it could save some money versus having to install like a cement pad, to support a xylophone or something like that. The space, it appears that there could be some space in front of or behind the swings. So that was it. The other thought I had, because I noticed the Casanova Knoll, there's a project for park equipment there. So as if that project were to be approved, that there would be consideration to put musical instruments, some sort of musical instrument as part of that project. I also walk on that, the other project, the path, Virgin Avenue path. I walk on that myself, and that has gotten quite narrow over the years. So I think that, and especially since there's no sidewalk on the other side, it would definitely make for a safer way to walk on that area. And that roundabout there, I'm not sure about putting a plaque there, but just some, occasional maintenance of it would be nice. I notice there's quite a few weeds there. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Esther Malkin. Go ahead, Esther.
Good evening, everybody. Esther Malkin, President of the Neighborhood Association for this neighborhood. I am going to obviously be most concerned about safety items. And we've talked about the street light on Casanova. There was an attack there. A woman was walking her dog there and was attacked, and that area has had numerous car accidents. So we are definitely pushing hard for that to still happen. The roundabout on Virgin is unfinished. This picture doesn't really show that it's very slanted to the right, and there's a big boulder in the middle. And I'm talking big enough that a car actually got stuck on it. And that roundabout has been problematic from the beginning because it doesn't have anything to highlight it at night, And even during the day, people who are not familiar with the area don't realize that that street is very narrow, and then they come upon that. And if they're not paying attention, we've literally had recently a car get stuck on that boulder. So it's basically unfinished. It needs signage and something reflective. What the signage would say, doesn't even worry us as much as the fact that we can't really have that continue the way that it is right now. And then lastly, that path that Renee and Ann were just talking about, that is a significant liability. We've had people trip over there. I'm not sure if it's been considered that it might be better not to do DG on it, and maybe for less maintenance in the future, just to go ahead and do some concrete. But because of that, those, are our safety oriented projects, which is why I'm supporting those before anything else. In that order, by the way. So the street light, the Virgin Avenue roundabout, and the DNG path.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I also have a hand raised by Joseph Hill. We could unmute him. Go ahead, Mr.
Good
Hill.
afternoon. As a lifelong resident of the peninsula and a lifelong resident of the city, just wanted to show and provide support for the street lighting on Casanova. That is a very dark stretch of road, as well as the rural lot that sits off to the side of it. I think lighting there would be helpful for both the residents as well as for traffic flow there. And the second project, the Virgin Avenue, just needs some beautification, or perhaps either neighborhood or city signage there would be helpful, so we don't have just a rock with weeds. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much. Any other member of the public who should address any of the Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande projects? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it to the commission. You wanna go ahead? You look like you're champing at the bit.
Those callers really summed it up well, so I don't want to just repeat what they said, but just in case you need this, our association's number one item is the street light on Casanova. Number two is that Virgin Avenue sign. And number three is the widening of the Virgin Avenue path. Those are the safety items. And we did a walkthrough with the engineers on the Virgin Avenue path, and they were thinking more along the lines, as Esther mentioned, of making it a concrete sidewalk and curb rather than DG, but maybe that's a topic for down the road, but I thought I should mention that.
Okay, we might want to see what the cost differential is between the two.
At the time.
I mean, just as a word of.
Yeah, but at the time, they didn't think it would be that much more.
I said that just, you might have them, give us a price both ways, and you all decide the route you want to take.
Right. Also on the street light, I am working on the process of getting the approval of the property owner and the people within 250 feet. So that's ongoing.
Was it music instruments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that yet.
Yeah. Okay.
That's on the way.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Jean and then Richard.
Scott, are you
And then Lee.
saying the same order that Esther said? So number one is 4, number 2 is 1, number
Correct.
3 is 5.
Yes.
Okay, and are the concerns about number 1, about the roundabout being incomplete, are they significant enough that you need to go back to the submitter and amend this a bit? Because it's just for a sign, and if we pass it that way, you'll just get a sign, right?
That's been my question too. It's so
I think we have.
Got the boss lady.
good.
The Public Works Director going to speak to it.
Thank you. My name is Andrea Rennie. I'm Public Works Director, and I just wanted to say that we did, and I think Scott, I think you were CC'd on emailed also. We have addressed the comments. We have ordered reflective material and signs. So Streets is already working on that, so it does not need to be part of the project.
So it's just the sign, the plaque then.
The plaque, right.
Okay.
So all the roundabout, the circle signs and the reflectors and all these things have been taken care of and ordered.
Great, thanks, Andrea.
Okay.
Apparently we can strike that one then.
Well, still a project, but you can always tell us next meeting if you want to change your priorities.
Right, okay.
Okay. Richard, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted one comment about the DG. The quarries around here have all closed. So most of the DG comes from way down south, South County. It could be more expensive than concrete and it's short-lived. But the one comment I want to make is last meeting on the musical instruments, we had people ask Scott to make sure the neighbors aren't going to object. We've heard pickleball conflicts, but musical instruments and drums, I just want to make sure we don't get swamped with complaints and that Scott has enough time to see the adjacent neighbors. Thank you.
Well, he's got 4 weeks.
I'll make an attempt.
Yeah.
And I have the addresses. So thanks to Fatima.
Okay. We've actually closed the public side of things, but I do have a hand, Ms. Pagan, I think wanted to add something to it. So I'll be a little lax and go ahead, Ms. Pagan. I think I got your name right this time.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
No.
There actually is a musical instrument over on the seaside, Laguna Grande side, and they are not loud at all. They're very muted. They're just very small. The drums that they have is just, it's like a rubber drum. There's some like little chimes, so I can't imagine that it would bother neighbors, but you can certainly test that out. But so I just want to add that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other member of the commission? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to next neighborhood.
All right, downtown has 15 projects. Downtown number 1, Monterey Bay Park restroom, phase 3, or just park restroom. Number 2 is El Dorado Street 100 block driveway reconstruction. Number 3 is El Estero Lake Edge Improvements, Phase 5. Number 4, Jack's Park Entrance Baseball Statue Relocation. Number 6, Hartnell Gulch Stream Restoration. Number 8, Downtown Public Restrooms, Portland Luz. Number 9, Monterey Bay Park Shower Station. Number 11, El Estero Park Center Facility Improvements, Parks and Rec Commission Priority Number 2. Number 12 is El Estero Park Center Play Equipment Upgrade, Park Commission Priority Number 5. El Estero Park Course Improvements, Commission Priority Number 11. El Estero Park Barbecue Area Shade Structure was Priority Number 6. Number 15, Jack's Park Infield Artificial Turf Installation. That was Priority Number 7. Solcito Ballpark Lighting Improvements. That was Park and Rec Commission Priority Number 4. Number 17, Dennis the Menace Playground Video Surveillance Installation. Number 18, Monterey Sports Center Bike Rack Upgrade. And that's it for downtown.
Okay, we'll open it to the public for downtown projects. I see hand went up and hand went down. Go ahead. So
Hi, Ellen McEwen, Parks and Recreation Commissioner. And as you know, we have chosen 12 of our priority projects to speak on over this and the following study session. And there were 55 projects related to Parks and Recreation, but we just wanted to choose our top 12. Now, Jean Rash, you were at the budget meeting last night and had some questions about what Parks and Recreation as a department can do financially towards some of these projects. And the Parks and Recreation budget is $12 million, but 8 million of that is payroll. And the rest of it is really just going towards maintaining the projects, maintaining the programs that are already going on. We do aftercare for kids. We have senior projects at the Schultze Center. We have sports center programs. And so every dollar is accounted for. There's no extra money to pay for these wonderful things that we, of course, everybody would love to have. And so every year we come to see what we can do with you guys in the NCIP funding. So I wish it weren't so. I wish there was more money available to Parks and Rec so that we could just make it happen. But instead, we're doing it this way because that's how life is. So let's see, I don't want to use up all my time, but I just wanted to make sure that that was addressed. I'm going to speak on a couple of these, and then my colleague Donna is going to speak on a couple of them. DT 12 is priority number 5. That's the Elistero Park play equipment upgrade. These are really old. I don't know if you've looked at them, but they're so faded in the sun. I'm afraid they're going to fall apart if some kid plays on them. That's maybe a little bit bigger child. So that's priority number 5. 1 being our top, 12 being our the bottom of our top priority. We're resubmitting DT 13, which is the Elistero Park course improvements. These were put in, I think, in the 70s, and people really do actually use them. They're a nice, free way to get some exercise. They're in a beautiful part of Elistero Park. And I think that the cost of upgrading is not super big. So that I think is good bang for the buck. And let's see, Donna, I think you're going to speak on 11, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, great. Take it away.
Ms.
Donna.
McEwen, before you leave, I just have a point of clarification about the numbers. Last night, they said 15% of Park and Rec was to salaries, or did I misunderstand? Which was 2.1 million.
Yes.
That is incorrect. I think the number of salary and benefits to entire citywide is kind of in the range of 50-60% of the entire city budget is salaries and benefits.
So you
it
see
is
where my
close to-
concern came from, because
I
they
can't think-
gave the wrong number then.
Yeah, it is about just under $9 million out
Okay.
of a $13 million budget is salaries. And that's because we have 750 plus acres of parks, beaches, and open space, and over half of that budget is Parks Division operations.
That makes total sense.
Yep.
2 million just made no sense last night. Okay,
Yeah, we just, we're labor intensive, no matter what we do.
sure. Thanks, Shannon.
Okay, and actually, before we go to you, we had a hand up online that beat you to it. So Mr. Rydell, Rick Rydell, or go ahead. And we need to unmute him.
Yeah, I'd like to speak in favor of project number 18, the Sports Center bike rack upgrade. I'm a frequent user of the sports center and I love to ride my bike there, but I've heard over the years that bikes have been stolen there, and the sports center has tried different things to deter bicycle theft. They've, as it shows in the picture there, they've moved the bike rack to right in front of the door. Since that picture was taken, the bike rack's been moved back to an out of the way location. And the bike racks that are installed there now aren't really favorable to using U-locks, which is probably the most secure way of locking a bike up when you go there. So I have a bicycle with pretty fat tires. There's a pretty fancy bike rack there that could potentially take a U-lock, but it's made for someone with a road bike. You can't get a bike in there with the fat tires. So what a lot of people do is they lock their bike up sideways on the bike rack, trying to get their U-lock on the bike rack, and they take up like 5 or 6 parking spaces. And but I'm so nervous that I've just given up riding my bike to the sports center, and I drive over there. And I just thought that a lot of people seem to want to ride a bike, but might be in the same boat as I am, where they're just not feeling comfortable to lock their bike up there because there's no safe way to lock up the bike. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Donna Gibson. I'm on Parks and Rec Commission, and I'd like to address them in the order in which we had priorities. The first one is our priority number 2, which is DL 11. This is the El Estero Park Center facility improvements. This would be a major upgrade. You need to remember that this is one of 3 operating centers in the community as we speak. It operates the pre-care program, multiple youth programs, the karate program, gymnastics program. And so it's a highly used facility, but it's showing its age. And so this would be a facelift internally. The envelope of the building is fine. The roof is fine. It's just the inside that's really dated and really needs improvements. Our priority number 4 is DT 16. This is to replace the field lighting in Sausalito Park. Right now, the bulbs have to be manually changed. They're inefficient lighting. It's not LED lighting. It would be a significant improvement in terms of the lighting of the field. It would be downlighted. They can be turned on and off remotely. Right now, it requires a person to actually come to the field to turn them on and to turn them off. The lighting would be better in terms of improved playing. Okay, priority number 5 is DT 12. This would to install upgraded play equipment for the children. Ellen, you just talked about that, I think. Okay. Yeah. All right. So number 6 is also at El Estero at the park barbecue area shade structure. This is the largest picnic structure within the city. It can hold up to 200 people. Unfortunately, it's located very near to the ball field, and there's no shade. And so by having some kind of shade structure, it prevents balls from ending up in someone's picnic area. And it also would prevent the bird droppings, which if you've ever been there, the seagulls are everywhere. And lastly, let's see. I think I'm done.
Okay. Any other member of the public?
No.
You have a question for the
Yeah.
speaker?
No, I have a question for Reggie.
Okay, yeah, but in a second. Go ahead.
Okay, we wanted to also speak on the artificial turf of the infield for Jack's Park. The Jack's Park gets an awful lot of play time. There's lots of softball and baseball, adult and child leagues. And when there's rain, it's not playable. So installing the artificial turf on the infield will make for a safer play environment, and it will extend the number of days and hours that it can be used. for both adults and kids. It's since we can't build any more new fields, this is a way of extending the field that we already have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Reggie, I've got a question for you. The slide says it's eligible for CDBG funding. Do we have an idea of how much that might be? As it relates to the number of dollar signs?
No, I think that was on the original submittal, the application. So we'd have to do some research to get more
Yeah,
information.
if we could by voting night, so we know what the actual amount is that we would need to be voting on and what might be coming from other sources. Okay. Any other member of the public? Jean and then Kurt and
Reggie,
then April.
I was too slow. How much was DT9? How expensive? Thank you.
Okay. Kurt, go ahead. Then it'll be
Okay,
April and
yeah.
then Richard.
Okay, so in reality, none of these projects are specific to the downtown neighborhood. They're all going to be used by the community. And if you look at all these projects, and if we funded all of them, that's a big chunk of our budget. They're rather pricey, several of them. And in the downtown neighborhood, we've asked the city to stop all development in the area where sea level rise will be an issue. And the Elistero Park is part of that sea level rise. And the study that the city did, the majority of the citizens wanted to use retreat as the way of combating sea level rise. So that puts essentially Elistero Park, Dennis the Menace, in the bay, if you will. So I'd really like the commission to think about these projects and related to 20 or 25 years. They're probably not going to be there. As far as priorities go, the one that the neighborhood wants is the Monterey Park the shower on the beach. Several of the members of the downtown neighborhood swim, and that would be, and it used to be there. That's my understanding, that it was there. When they upgraded the restrooms, they didn't put it in. And it's just simply there to wash off the sand from their feet and their bodies. So that was really the priority from the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. April and then Richard.
The question I had was regarding the artificial turf. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remember years ago, we talked about this and it was not the most safe environmentally and it has to be replaced after a certain number of years. And then the cost of replacement is prohibitive. Was I remembering a different project or does anybody else?
Well, we've done artificial turf on Solisto Ball Field.
Mhm.
That was brought forward and there was actually a whole group of the Michael Groves and his ball players actually raised funds and contributed a large chunk of the funding. But we also did artificial turf on Monterey High School field as well. Yes, it does need to at some point have to be replaced. So it is not a forever cost. As far as toxicity or anything, I have a feeling we may be getting a partial answer to your question from.
So technology has improved. And so now you can use walnut shells, cork, sand, and not have to do rubber and fill.
And you were, for the record?
Sure. Sorry, Shannon Leon, Parks and Recreation Manager.
Thank you. Hey, Richard, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to contribute. I've done barbecues where that shade area is proposed. The birds aren't just an annoyance, it's a major health hazard. We're talking way above anywhere else in Monterey. It's just awful. A lot of good projects here. Kurt has a point about ocean level rising, but he did not bring up the latest report from the U.S. Geological Society on the Monterey Bay tsunami risk right here. That whole area is in that risk pattern. They estimate a wave 2 to 20 feet high with a 10 to 15 minute warning. That's it. That's all you got. So I don't know if the Parks Commission has discussed this, but they should, because it's our future. The other point I wanted to make is on the remodel of the youth center, they mentioned furniture replacement. If Rick, you could elaborate on our charter about capital projects. I know we put furniture in new buildings, but what do we do on remodeling? I think that should be cleared up. And the last point is, I hear you talking about dollar signs. I don't have any of that visible to me. Could that be sent to me, please? That's all. Thank you.
It will be. As far as furniture, I think we need to get a read from the city attorney on whether or not furniture is viewed as a capital improvement. Traditionally, it had to be things that were fixed and not removable. But again, we have done things like equipment in the sports center. So I just would like to make sure we have the ability to do furniture in that project if we were to approve it.
Can I make an additional comment?
Sure.
Sure. Ellen McEwen here. Of course, we're all confronting climate change, and sea level rise will occur, but the estimates of the sea level rise overwhelming the structures in Dennis Jimenez and El Estero Park are probably 40 to 50 years out. So these projects are ones that we feel are important to be done now for this generation. The next generation will have to make other considerations.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other? Jamie, go ahead.
Just accounting
Then
geek.
Lee.
Accounting geek note, when you get to $4 signs, there's some big differences. Because if I remember, the lights was in the 400 range and the infield's in the $1.2 million range. So, you know,
I think we need to have a discussion about pricing of projects once we get done at the end of this thing, so that we have something that's a little bit more than dollar signs.
or just more dollar signs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because 300,000 plus can go a lot of differences. Lee.
Two comments, one on the El Estero facility that we need to fix up. It's back from the 1950s. It's time to upgrade it and bring it up to speed and to get more use out of it. The CERT team had an exercise there a number of years ago. It's used for election night, for voting, by the way. So it has another use. And it's used, I think they're still doing exercise class or yoga and stuff, but I think we can use that building more. And that's what this town needs. We got lots of parks, but we need some inside stuff. We can't always depend on Kona, because that's a fabulous facility, by the way, also. The other part I'd like to talk about is the CERT box for my neighborhood was right down there by El Estero Park and the cemetery. And we went through and researched, looking at the mitigation, the flooding areas of the city of Monterey. And guess what? El Estero's right smack in it, and it's going to come through window on the bay, all that right in there. So the CERT team, we did an NIC project and we did an MOU, and we moved that CERT box up behind what was used to be the old armory. It's now the dance building at MPC. And it's working perfect for that neighborhood. But we looked around for 4 or 5 different areas, and going up on the hill was the best bet to get out of that flood zone, because it will happen.
Okay. Kurt, hey, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. I forgot to mention, I wanted to bring up DT06, the Hartnell Gulch. I've been exchanging some emails with Reggie and Brian Edwards, the director of the museums and library. He is trying to get some funding to help with this gulch restoration. It's an expensive project, as you can see. But I think Richard last week mentioned it. It's the homeless. It's trash down in there from Pacific down to Hartnell. And this was defunded. So hopefully Brian will be able to come back and say he can or can't help with some of the funding with a grant. But I think this is another important project in the downtown area. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no other comments. I just want to make one that, when the sea level rise does happen, it'll be nice. I'll have waterfront property.
Forward to that all the time.
Sorry, that was poor taste. Let's move on to the next neighborhood. Fisherman's Flats.
Fisherman's Flats, 4 nominated projects. All right, Via Casoli sewer odor mitigation, Via Martimo street light, Via Isola Jocelyn Canyon Road entry walls rehabilitation, and Fisherman Flats Park tree replacement.
Let's go ahead and open it up to the general public for anyone who has comments on the Fisherman's Flats projects. Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it to the commission for anyone who has questions or comments. Okay, I just have one to bring up on FF02, the Via Maritimo streetlight. We will need to have sign-offs from the neighbors of whether or not they support that prior to voting night.
We kind of think that won't happen. But we do think the city should go and talk to the person who is objecting to this light because he has a basketball hoop out in the street. And maybe he should take that basketball hoop down. And did you want me to tell you what our priorities are?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, FF1. I live on Via Casoli and I have never smelled anything. I do not have a good sense of smell, so maybe that's why. And the person who has put in the objection has moved out to Carmel Valley. So that really is number 3 for us. FF2 is number 4, simply because we know the neighbors, he will not be able to, he will
Yeah,
not object.
he will not-
He
he will
will
object.
not withdraw his objection and it won't happen. Otherwise, we'd like it. FF3 is our number 1 priority, fixing the signs coming in. And then FF4 would be number 2, although we kind of wonder if the city lost a tree in the park. If I lost a tree in my yard, I'd have to replace it with 2. Why does the city not replace that one in the park with 2?
It's a good question.
You have good answers.
Louis, do you have an answer?
We probably put in 3 trees since that tree failed. We don't make you replace a tree if a tree fails in your yard, only if you cut one down.
Oh, I cut it down because it failed.
There you go. If it fails, we usually don't make you replace it.
Oh.
Okay.
We didn't come out and look, so I.
We did put some trees back there, but Tom said he wanted another tree, so I don't know. We'll put another tree there. We don't have to put that on the thing. We'll put a tree there without that being voted on.
Okay, so you'll commit to doing a tree and we can remove it as a project?
We will.
I think
Okay.
he wants a big tree.
I know he does, but he doesn't need a big tree there. He doesn't need a big tree there.
Okay, so you committed to March, we'll put a tree in.
3 trees in already. We'll put another tree there and
Okay.
you don't have to vote on that. That's right.
Okay.
Tell Tom, he'll be excited.
He will be so.
Thank you, Louis.
Yes.
Well, and Louis, you do need to, for the record, introduce yourself. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other member of the commission? Have any questions? None. Let's move on to the next neighborhood. Glenwood has no project.
Yeah,
so we'll move
Glenwood
on.
has no nominated projects. Monterey Vista has 12.
I thought we had 9.
Oh, well, according to this, we have 12, but we'll go through them.
Oh, All right, 12 minus 3. Okay.
Okay, number one, Moonraz Avenue, Soledad Drive, freeway entrance signage. Number two, Via Del Rey, Herman Drive, streetlight installation. Number three has been completed, so maybe this is the difference in count. Number four has also been completed. Number five, San Burnaby Drive road design. Number six, Monterey Vista traffic calming plan, construction. Monterey Vista Drive, Toda Vista Drive. So just a quick update on, so the traffic calming plan is going to go to City Council. That's been delayed until June 6th now. Monterey Vista number 7, Via Paraiso Park basketball court upgrade. And that was Parks and Rec Commission number 10, priority number 10. Number 8, Monterey Vista conduit installation pilot project. Number 10, Via Gayuba at Walter Colton Drive, always stop control. Number 11, Via Paraiso Park playground equipment upgrade. Number 12 was funded at the last meeting, so that one's off the list. Number 13, Herman Drive, El Caminito pedestrian crosswalk with the rapid flashing beacons. And that's the list.
If we'll go out to the general public. Hans, you making a dash for the podium?
Hello, I'm Hans. I just wanted to talk about a couple of these projects. One is we do a survey of our neighborhood every year, and we did that. We did that again this year. We haven't had everybody do the survey, but so far, the number one project was that we'll talk. That is more of a citywide, or multi-neighborhood is the fuel reduction project that we'll talk about later. And but the next main project was, like it was several years ago, was the undergrounding project. They're putting the conduit underground on a street that's going to be reworked anyway. That is looking like it's going to be the number 2 project. And the number 3 project was the basketball court at Veterans Park, which is actually, again, a multi-neighborhood because it's up in Veterans Park.
Actually, it says Via Paraiso Park.
Sorry, the Veterans Park is a
okay.
different one. There's one in Veterans Park.
Sorry.
And to do that basketball court. It's been kind of a quarter court and a lot of people use it. A major tree came down several years ago, so now it can be expanded to a full half court, which is what is greatly what a lot of people use. And I can go down the list, but I think we'll let you know our full priority list next time because we still have votes coming in.
Okay.
But just to highlight the major project coming in so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wishing to, should we go ahead? And then, yes, when we come to commission, Jane, you'll be first.
This is Donna Gibson with Parks and Rec Commission. We did rank number MV07 as number 10 as a priority. This would upgrade the basketball court that's already at Via Paraiso. It is used frequently. We'd probably expand it to maybe a half court. It would not be a full court. But I think if you go there, it's used quite a lot.
Thank you. Any other member of the general public? Seeing none, we'll bring it to the commission. Jean, you.
Sure. I had some assignments on these projects and I did them. The 2 traffic projects, so MV10, the stop sign at Via Gayuba and Colton, the submitter was fine with including the studies, which is why it's $2 signs. And then there was another traffic one, I guess the pedestrian crosswalk MV13. The submitter was fine with adding in the studies. And then, I'll comment on Pat's later. So I just wanted you to know that we did that.
Okay. Any other member of the commission? Nope, seeing none. That's the last neighborhood for tonight.
Oh.
Whoa. Record time. So the next item on the, again, the rest of the neighborhoods from, was it New Monterey through multi-neighborhood will be in 2 weeks here. I'm assuming here.
May 11th.
Yep. The next item on the agenda is committee member comments. Any member of the committee wish to do any general comments? I will kick off. I think we need to have a hard look at pricing of projects. Now, maybe the dollar signs work, but we definitely, a top one of 300,000 plus leaves an awful wide range. So let I don't necessarily have an issue with doing the ranges. I prefer a number because that's ultimately how we're going to decide on voting is what the estimated cost is. And we all know it's estimated, so it may change and go up. But personally, I prefer a number versus the ranges. It's the way we've done it for 35 years and it seemed to work. So I don't know why we need to be changing the method, but so you can relay that to Tom and I'm happy to speak to him, but I don't know what my fellow commissioners may love the idea of the dollar sign ranges, so I'll let them speak to it. Richard, you have your hand up?
Yes, I completely agree with your assessment on money amounts because I do vote so that there are 15 neighborhoods and then add up all the city departments and everybody else asking us. This is like a potluck. We have several projects proposed which take our entire budget. The Parks and Rec projects would be our entire budget doubled. And we have the fuel reduction, which is for our entire budget. We have to look at serving everybody to get something to increase or improve their area of the city to make life better for everybody. And to just go in and say, I'm taking all the fried chicken, and there's 100 people behind me. I think we need to pass the word to them that they have to understand we're trying to help as many as we can with the money that we have available. It's difficult. Prices are crazy, but I do want to see, it doesn't have to be exact figures, but the dollar signs are just too wide open. And I agree with Rick that we need a little guidance so we can vote properly. But I'm concerned about these whole budget projects and the fairness of the whole thing. So that's about all I have to say about it. But thank you. I would like to approach the council about the security cameras. PG is signed up for Carmel system on license plate readers. I know they've solved major felonies with these cameras. It takes pictures of license plates, but it works. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do Kurt and Andrea. I do see you out there, but Kurt has his hand up first, so we'll go to him first.
Okay, so I agree with both Rick and Richard. This dollar sign is great. I'm okay with that, but in some of these projects, they do have estimates. So I'd like to see if you really have an estimate to put it in, but we need more refinement of the dollar signs above 300K, because I'd like to know if the project is $250,000, $1 million, or $1.5 million. And we have some projects that would be approaching that. So we need more dollar signs above the 300K for refinement. Thank you.
Andrea, and then April. Generally, this is commission comments, but I have a feeling you're going to give us some good information.
I'll try. Thank you. Andrea Rennie, Public Works Director. I completely understand the wish for numbers, and actually Reggie and I were talking about this today. So in the past few years, we've spent almost $100,000 with Whitson trying to get estimates. So estimates have always been very expensive. One of the issues that we're having this year is not only that we are at limited capacity, so we have half the number of engineers we used to, is that we're finding that our consultants are also understaffed. So even if we were to say Whitson or another consultant, here's $100,000, they don't have the staffing either. So we'll talk it over, and I just wanted to give the feedback that we'll look at into giving you better estimates, but they likely won't be, they'll be in a general ballpark.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. April, and then Jamie, and then Jean.
I think I'm for once agreeing with Richard. Oh, I'm wait myself up. But we really do need the numbers or closer to the numbers. And in the past, the basis for the formation, which Richard says often, is to give individual neighborhoods, which we have 15, 16 of, the ability to get something little done for their neighborhood so they can point with pride and say, oh, NIP or NCIP, excuse me, did that. And I don't care if it's just a playground, if it's a path, if it's putting up a stop sign, something that makes the quality of that individual neighborhood's life better. The multi-million-dollar citywide things, of course, that's not citywide anymore. Multi-neighborhood, that's hard to keep remembering, but it does give the whole city something, but sometimes it's just not enough to people will look at NCIP and say, oh, that really can do something for my neighborhood. It made a park for my neighborhood, or it got rid of an eyesore, or it made a walking path. I would prefer to say centered on all the projects that give each neighborhood something, no matter how little it is. Thanks.
Thank you, April. And Jamie, and then Jean.
2 points. So I believe actually, we don't need spending time talking about it because we can't vote without numbers. The voting night doesn't work. But so many of these come back. And so I think it's reasonable. I think the committee could probably get comfortable with the old price with some sort of inflation factor or other assumptions, and then we're done. Because I would hate to spend money estimating these things 2 or 3 times, which some of them possibly have already been. So we got numbers on most of these. Let's just look at them for a reality check and then agree that that's an estimate. The other thing is Saratoga. No, yeah, I believe it's Saratoga as well as Pacific Grove. Are you both using these cameras in neighborhoods to take license plates and solve crimes? And they're very happy with them. So I'm thinking we've already got it approved for our neighborhood. We can probably call Saratoga or PG up, find out what brand of camera they have and go. So, because I know that on the police department side that our neighborhood president has understood, and from even the city manager's office, that there's now support for cameras. So I think we're at that point now where enough ground has been broken that we should be able to move forward with the cameras, and we have local people that we can steal policies from, or like I said, I think it's Saratoga.
Okay, Jean.
Well, I was going to give this update in 2 weeks, but it's pertinent. So on multi-neighborhood 6, the fuel reduction project from Pat Venza, she and I had a long talk, and the price will be $750,000 to make it more, I guess, palatable rather than a huge project. And then we don't have any fuel reduction because it's voted down. In any location that Parks and Recs wants, meaning wherever Louis wants to do it. And then she was fine with Richard's suggestions to include tree planting and the removal of trees, as well as the fuel mitigation, the fire mitigation. So that's what that will be coming in as. Thank you.
Okay.
So it was just eye-opening tonight to hear the Parks and Rec Commission talk about their budget and how there's really no room in that budget for anything. And I get it, coming to NCIP, but we've had conversations about how typical things that are capital improvement come to NCIP is another pot of money, and it does eat up. I'm wondering, we've done these things like Measure S, Measure P, I think was the first one, fix our roads. If Parks is kind of strapped, I mean, why don't, I'm just offering as a suggestion, we offer the public, hey, do this for our parks. We've done it for our roads. And maybe, these expensive things like upgrading Solacito Park with better lighting, with better ball fields. And it was just a thought.
There actually is another budget called the CIP budget as well, which could fund these things. There's two pots of money for doing the things. One is CIP, one is NCIP. So, but there's a lot of competition for that as well, because that's also major things elsewhere. So it's
That's
basically if you're going to get anything new or major repairs done, short of going out for some type of ballot measure, the only two places to come are three. You can sometimes get grants, CDBG and some things, but it's CIP and NCIP. Any other member of the commission? I just have one thing. I would like to put on our next agenda, Reggie, an item to discuss and make a request to city council that they agendize a video surveillance, video camera and however we want to put it, plan. A policy. Now, ultimately it'll be up to them if and when they do, but at least we can get the ball rolling, formally asking.
Clarification, surveillance or these other ones are unmonitored?
I think we need to have a policy regarding all of those aspects when it deals with video camera. That way we don't have any questions come up, and so it'd be unmonitored. I don't know enough on the different options, but I think it should cover everything. And use existing cities around. I mean, there's places up, but at least let's agendize it. We can discuss further what we want to exactly suggest they do, but let's get the ball rolling. Yeah, and it needs to be on the agenda so that we can formally vote on it to recommend to send it to them. I think it'll have more than just us talking about it. It'll probably never happen. So, any other member of the commission have any last council commission comments? Seeing none, we're adjourned. See you all in 2 weeks.